Bobby Moe, as some people call him. I still like to call him by their proper name, Robert Morris. As Chris Brandon will go up against Khalil Spear. And we are underway with Robert Morris winning the tip. They will possess the ball first here on this Saturday afternoon. Here's Robert Morris's starters. We talked about Spear in the open. Enoch Cheeks, he is their leading scorer. Jackson Last. Kevin Martina is getting the start in place of Trevon Faulkner for the second straight game. And watch out for the three-point threat, Josh Corbin for the Colonials. And then a foul down on this end. It goes out of bounds, to Northern Kentucky.
It just ran out of real estate there in the corner. It was lined up for the three, but just stepped out of bounds.
Let's take a look at the North starters. Same as it was on Thursday. Sam Vincent, Marquise Warwick. We saw L.J. Wells as well as Xavier Rhodes, the point guard, and Chris Brandon down low. Here is Warwick as the North's wearing those sharp black uniforms. Usually those are saved for the road, but the home fans get to see these in live and living color. Here comes Warwick down the boulevard, no good. It's rebounded by Wells, and he thinks better than to go up against that double team. And here's Warwick from outside, no good. Wells with another offensive rebound, but he'll have to rip it away from Last, and it will turn into a jump ball, staying with Northern Kentucky. Matt Sexton, how about if you give us the Connect benefits, keys to the game?
Well, the first one already looking like it's going to come true. Ride the hot hand. Warwick's been the hot guy, and he's already taken a couple of shots. Robert Morris, they got to stick to the same game plan they had on Thursday. They've got to be the aggressor. They really bullied Wright State. They're going to try to do it tonight, and both teams got to finish strong. We don't want any overtime tonight. 40 minutes of great basketball, and that is it.
Enoch Cheeks gets the steal and then is fouled on the other end by L.J. Wells. So you don't mind 50 minutes of basketball?
Or 55.
Or 55.
Did that earlier this year as well.
We'll talk about that as the game progresses, all this overtime madness that the Northern Kentucky men especially have had. Back-to-back double overtime games. I guess it's okay if you get the win, but still, nonetheless, that's a tough one there to get through before everything closes as Cheeks misses the first free throw. And then he'll break the seal on the game scoring with a solo home run, and he makes it 1-0 here early.
A low-scoring affair early on.
Here is Rhodes, the point guard out of Lee Summit, Missouri, and that's going to be a touch foul against Jackson Last. And I know that doesn't sound felonious, but 2 hands is automatic, and Darren Horn says that's exactly right. Don't put 2 hands on my guy here in his 4th season here for the Norse. Looking to go 2-0 here in regular season play. That's a big-time improvement from last year when the team went on the road and lost the first 2. Here's Vincent driving. He runs into a trap. He kicks it out to Warwick. Through traffic, no good, but it's Brandon with a stick back, and it falls through.
You're already seeing Northern Kentucky crash the offensive glass. That's something Robert Morris really kept Wright State from doing very much of the other night. And, again, I don't think this Northern Kentucky team's going to be bullied in the same way that Wright State was bullied.
That will give us an opportunity there after the stoppage of play. Stephon Walker, normally a starter. He's a freshman out of Washington, D.C., is in the game, sent in by Andy Toole. In his 13th season at Robert Morris, he has an impressive resume leading this group into the Horizon League after a ton of success on the low major level at Northeastern University. Cheeks with a great drive to the basket. Excellent take, and he lays it in.
He was 1 of 2 to start all 32 a season ago, and not afraid to take it inside amongst the trees. Nice shot there.
But Walker had started the first 7 games, missed the Wright State game, doesn't start today, and he's right back in. Robert Morris officially called it an injury but did not specify on what it was, but he's back out there now. As here is Rhodes. And look at this defense once again by Robert Morris. The spin by Warwick, and he floats it off the banking board and in.
There's no defense for that shot. If you can hit that shot, there's no way to stop it. And Andy Toole looked like a 6th defender out here. He was 3 or 4 steps on the floor encouraging his guys, but couldn't stop Marquez Warwick there.
Northern Kentucky showed press and then backed off once Robert Morris got through the initial rush of the 2 players. Here's Last with it now. Corbin He's going to have to take a long one from the logo, and it goes in. That's the one guy that you don't want to shoot regardless. Anywhere inside half court, he's in his range.
He walks in the gym. He's in range, 48% from three-point range, and he's not afraid to take it from out there. He had to force it up. The timer was running out, but he's good from out there.
He leads the Horizon League in three-point shooting percentage, and Sam Vincent answers with a two-pointer on the other end, tying it up at 6. Northern Kentucky again showing this press, but Robert Morris beats it. Here's Cheeks. He'll get it over to Last, out of the corner, and he was standing out of bounds when he caught the ball. And that's a turnover.
I don't know if the floor at the Nutter Center maybe is a little wider than the floor here, but that's twice already in the first, not even 4 minutes that they just ran out of real estate on the sideline.
Well, it's not true.
No, it's
but
not.
It felt like it. And it's, I think, more pressure on the ball here as Northern Kentucky is showing against Robert Morris. And Robert Morris is playing some tenacious defense here today, much like they did against Wright State. And quite frankly, after the first half, Wright State just kind of took their medicine, so to speak, as Spears with the lob to Cheeks, and it'll go out of bounds. It'll stay right there with Robert Morris.
Yeah, that game on Thursday, it really felt like it was neck and neck until about the last 3 minutes of the first half. Robert Morris went on a run right at the end of the half, and Wright State just didn't answer the bell in the second half. Robert Morris just pushed him around for 20 minutes. As a Northern Kentucky fan, that's always great to see.
Certainly was. But then you got to realize, hey, that's coming here in 2 days. This spear from 3, in and out. It's rebounded by Brandon. Here comes Rhodes with it now. Over to Wells. Vincent left side gets it to Brandon. He'll take the handoff now and drive. One more over to Rhodes. Nice ball movement. There's still plenty of time on the shot clock as Vincent rises and fires, and he misses everything. He's saying that slipped out of my hands. I think Stephon Walker might have had something to do with it on the closeout, but we can figure it out while we go to our first media break. Crew who was alive back then. That'd be you, me, and maybe Wes Akers.
There's not a lot of
and the rest of them are like 1986. We've only seen that in like television and movies. But that was back in the GLVC days, St. Joe's and Quincy. But that overtime, 2 overtime games that happened in 2011. It's pretty. Rips down the rebound. But back then it was against Kentucky Wesleyan in the quarterfinals of the GLVC tournament. NKU loses but still qualifies for the Division II Midwest region. In the first game of that regional, Tony Rack hits a shot at the end of halftime, at the end of overtime. I got that in the viewfinder for the NKU Sports Show. And me and Tony Rack have been friends ever since.
And that's the rest of the story.
That's the rest of the story. That was a big one. That was also against Kentucky Wesleyan. And Northern Kentucky ended up falling to Bellarmine in the finals of that regional to go to the Elite Eight. As Vincent will get the inbound pass. He and Warwick play catch until Brandon gets a turn. Down on the block. He'll go over top of his man, and it's rebounded there by Matt Mayers, who just checked into the game as well. Here's Cheeks driving. Baseline pass, and going and getting it is Trevon Faulkner, who also checked in during the break, and he's now coming in off the bench, and he is officially now past Drew McDonald for most games played as a member of the Norse all time here.
If you pass Drew McDonald in any stat in the record book, you've done something right during your career.
So Drew and I were talking about that. He said, somebody asked me if I knew that I held 7 records. He said no. He says the only 2 that are important are scoring and rebounds. That was the only 2 I focused on. I said, well, that's a good way to look at it because those 2 are going to stick around for a while. Unless Marquez Warwick gets a 5th year.
Yeah, that's a good
point.
But
we're still getting him through his 3rd year.
Yeah, we'll get through 1 year.
Let's just worry about tonight, right?
That's exactly right.
See if we can go for another 30 spot here today. But anyway, let's get back to live action here. As Mayer down low on Brandon. Nice little spin move. Can't get it, and Vincent gets it on the volleyball tip. Here's Pavorius stepping into one for 3. No good. And it's Corbin who bats it out. And Pavorius had it briefly, and now Spear has it. Dribbles it off his foot. And I tell you what, this exchange here will not be sent to the archives in Springfield, Massachusetts, will it?
No, it will not. I mean, give them points for hustle and effort, but not much in the way of execution. Kind of sloppy, back and forth. But again, these two teams playing very physical on both ends at a high speed, and sometimes that happens. You get a little bit messy in there, so you got to clean it up a little bit, get settled down here on offense.
And honestly, I think Robert Morris is the team that is trying to muck this one up,
yes,
because they don't seem to be a very skilled offensive team, although they didn't show that against Wright State, and they are averaging 71 points per contest, but I think they want to grind you out on the defensive end to be successful,
I think
right?
there are some teams that just feed on chaos. They love chaos on the defensive end, on the offensive end. They just play better that way, and this seems like one of those teams.
And Mayer lays it up and in. Mayer with his first basket, a 6'8" junior out of New York. There's Brandon with it now, guarded by Mayers. You got to get the S in. His name is plural, Matt. Here's the drive by Vincent. He's cut off, and he finds Faulkner in the painted area who lays it in.
Well, that was a nice job by Faulkner, just slipping in through there. Not a whole lot of room there, but somehow still managed to get it to the basket and lay it in.
Northern Kentucky ties it back up at 8. Here's Green, who was a starter for them last year, leads the team in assist. In fact, he's 4th in the Horizon League in assists. And he's mainly come off the bench. Here's Corbin, misses everything, and that would be called a heat check, my friend.
Yeah, that was ill-advised. Didn't need to throw it up there, and certainly wasn't set.
Brandon now high, guarded by Mayers. Here is Warren. He'll get the screen from Brandon, who rolls, but instead it's kicked out to Faulkner. And then he throws it away. He and Vincent not on the same page. And Corbin, he'll lob it down to Cheeks, who puts it up and in. And not a great set down there offensively for Northern Kentucky.
I'm not even sure what they were going for there, but it didn't work out. Crash into the bench.
That was Cheeks, who just took out 4 or 5 seats in his own bench. But he is okay and up. There, that distracted me completely from the action at hand. Boy, he smoked 2 guys sitting on the bench. And that's exactly what you want, though, a guy going after that loose ball, trying to get that interception.
Again, that's one thing about this Robert Morris team is it's 100 miles an hour all over the court. Effort's never going to be a question with this team. They're going to give you everything they got. They're going to take out a few of their teammates, whatever it takes to find a way to get that ball, and that's just a great hustle play.
And then in the aftermath of all that, a foul was called against Marquez Warwick, his first. Whatever it was that happened there under the basket after they were trying to get those guys up off the concrete, because that floor comes off to an edge onto a concrete slab here. Some people don't realize it's not completely a wood floor all the way through, and that is a long three-point shot, good out of the corner by Jackson Last. He is the transfer out of Salt Lake Community College.
Averaged 9.2 points per game for them last year, only averaging 4 points a game there. That was a nice-looking shot.
There's Rhodes with it. He'll kick it out to Faulkner. He's wide open, and the left-hand bandit knocks one down.
You can't leave him open out there, and it just everybody collapsed in. Everybody forgot about Faulkner on the outside, and he buried it.
Hubie Prevorius at some point took a shot to the face because he's reaching for his nose to see if there's blood going to come out. As that one goes out of bounds on the deflection, and that'll take us to our under 12 media break. Whole lot of biggest win, most high-profile win before we get to that.
The 2013 NIT win over Kentucky. Obviously, people around here are still sore about that. I think every time Kentucky loses a game like that, people remember it until they're.
Well, when they got beat by St. Peter's, a lot of people brought up, well, remember that Robert Morris loss? Was it as bad as that? The answer is probably not, because it wasn't on his biggest stage, but. At the end of the timer, Spear for 3, got it! Khalil Spear. And now
they're going to look at it.
They want to look at it to either, I guess, make sure it was a 3.
And make sure it got off before the horn went off.
That's what I thought, too. But usually they definitely do that to see if it's a 2 or 3. But while we have the time and while our crew re-racks the tape, I know that I like looking at who notable alumni are, the schools that we play, of course. You being a notable alumni of Northern Kentucky University, that's not quite on the Wikipedia page.
Way down the list.
But should be once my name gets in there. But I know you're a big fan of wrestling. That's RASSLIN. That's wrestling. But the guy that, got it to be called wrestling and then sports entertainment, Mr. Vince McMahon,
Yep.
His darling pride and joy, his youngest child, his beautiful daughter, Stephanie McMahon, attended Robert Morris University in Moon Township.
Of course, she's now the co-CEO of World Wrestling Entertainment after everything happened with her dad. And, it's a cool fun fact. I'm sure she's probably busy and not tuning into this broadcast. But obviously there's no red light with the shot clock. So what you're looking for here is the 0 pop up on the shot, and there it is. I think the ball's in his hand.
Yeah.
That's not going to count.
And he's clearly in bounds. That's the other piece in case you would wonder why they would go for it at this point. But you're right. You're talking about the red light that's on the backboard that only happens at the end of the game.
Correct.
Or end of the half when you get zeros up there. Doesn't do that in I think in some NBA arenas it does.
It does. I think the NBA rule may be that the red light has to operate for the shot clock
on the
as well.
shot on the shot clock piece, not the backboard light.
But they did wave it off.
Don't be and that's as they should have. But don't put that in the suggestion box, Matt.
We don't want
because that might be a thing that happens.
It would not
unless you really want it to happen. Because then it would have to go across the board.
That's good camera work by our crew there to make sure to get that all in the same shot. Made it very easy.
And the people in the truck to be able to
absolutely
to rack it and rewind it back.
Oh, yes. We're talking about nonsense. They're doing a great job in there.
Well, we're just trying to cover up the fact that that's what we know. As we get back to live action, here is Vincent trying to bully his way through. He thinks twice. Now it's Pavorius. 5 on the timer. Faulkner puts down a dribble, shoots from the side, and that 3 will count.
That was cold-blooded from Faulkner. Knew he was at the end of the timer and just buried it. Worth pointing out, we saw before the break, Huby Pavorius was checking his nose. He is now sporting a little gauze inside the nose. He's been hit in the face a couple times in this one.
Last lays it in after the great interior pass made by Khalil Spear. So Robert Morris has the answer and retakes the lead, and now a foul called against a new player in the game. TJ Wainwright should be the guilty party as the referees can't make the announcement because all the subs decided that they were going to come into the game. Now they can come into the game.
You know, you see that at the high school level so often because the moment that the whistle blows, everybody jumps up, they want to jump in the game.
And you know why that happens? Because they're never taught that as a kid.
Yep.
I remember, and I know this was a long time ago, and I'm going to sound like my dad, but I remember the first game, the night before, the practice before the first game every year, we were taught by our coach is a long three-pointer by Marquez Work is no good. Wells gets the rebound, and it'll be jumped up. But our practice was teaching us how to report into the game properly.
Yeah. And
how to stand in the national anthem line. And everybody looks at you now like, we play 6 games AAU every day. We know what we're doing, dummy. But again, they're more talented than I was.
And, of course, I was the type of kid that was working at the scorer's table, spent a lot of years doing that.
Right.
It always made me mad when people didn't know what they were doing or they just run out on the floor. And it makes for just chaos. And then, so, yes, I always appreciate coaches who actually go to that detail.
Here is Wainwright with the lefty floater, and it rattles in. And how about Robert Morris taking now a 3-point lead as Wainwright checks in, the freshman out of Los Angeles, California.
Well, they're still shooting just as hot as they were Thursday, almost 64% from the floor.
Here's Rhodes with it. He'll get it out to Faulkner. They're going to face guard him right now, at least on this trip. As Chris Ford out there in the game. And it looked like Brandon slipped as he went to go up for his shot, lost control, and that'll be a turnover.
That was really odd looking. Almost looked like he was trying to avoid traveling or something and just had to kind of get rid of the ball, and Robert Morris gets it back.
So Wainwright will take it. Here's Ford, as we said before. He was guarding Faulkner on that last trip, wearing number 23. Spear will work on the freshman Wells. He'll back off, no good, and Brandon grabs another board.
Great job by Wells. That's just good defense right there by the freshman against one of the hottest shooters in the Horizon League.
Here's Faulkner with the drive to Warwick. It's cheeks on him as it looks like Robert Morris is in a bit of a zone look here. Here is Rhodes into traffic, and the stufferino on the stick back for Chris Brandon as bodies fly everywhere around him.
Well, that was a car crash at the bottom, and Brandon just up above the car crash, not bothered by any of that, throwing it home. That was, it looked ugly to start with, and then looked beautiful at the end.
Everybody got up okay, and we were able to continue on without a stoppage at play. Here's Cheeks with it now. Down to Spear. He goes and challenges Brandon, and he'll get the and one. So Chris Brandon tries to take a charge and was unsuccessful, and on the other side of the break.
Big thing is 15th in minutes, because, again, a double overtime games, you pile the minutes. He's got over 36 minutes a night. He's off to a slow start today, 1 for 5. But, again, this is a Robert Morris team that makes it difficult to get into shooting rhythm because they're just so physical and all over you, but it's been an unbelievable stretch for Marquez Warwick.
So Khalil Spear misses the free throw on the old-fashioned three-point play attempt, but they get the offensive rebound and create another possession for them.
That's their first offensive rebound. Northern Kentucky has 6 already, but they only have 2 second-chance points, so they're not making the most of those extra opportunities.
Trey Robinson checks in for Northern Kentucky. Down low, and it's Matt Mayers. Lays it up and in. Warwick tried to defend it and comes up a bit hobbled.
Yeah, he nearly got that from behind. Mayer's just a little bit too high, and yeah, you're right. He's seemed to be a little shaken up by that fall.
There's Brandon with it. He's going to get it to Warwick. Cheeks has been all up in his jersey so far. Here's Vincent on the kick out for 3. Got it. Sam Vincent gets his name in the book. He now has 5.
The best way to get people off of Warwick is for some other guys to start knocking down shots, and Vincent there wide open, able to knock it down.
Here's Green in traffic from the logo. Might have grazed the front end of the iron, and here comes Northern Kentucky. It's Vincent. The kick out to Isaiah Mason, who's in for the first time, and he was standing out of bounds when he caught the ball.
It's 3 times in this game already. Somebody standing in the corner, or standing a little too far in the corner, close to the fancy seats over there. And
when you don't get a whole lot of playing time like Isaiah Mason, you can't be making mistakes like that because your leash is already short.
Yeah, you got to make the most of the minutes you get, and that is not a good way to do that.
Here's Green with it. It is deflected out of bounds by Trey Robinson, and it'll stay downtown with Robert Morris. There'll be 18 on the timer when the Colonials trigger it in. And it looks like Green will be the one who takes care of that assignment. Green, who leads them in assists, 4th in the conference, 3rd in assist-to-turnover ratio. He saved one there from going out of bounds. And it's deflected again, this time by Vincent. And Robert Morris will have to inbound it directly in front of the Northern Kentucky bench with 11 on the timer.
Sometimes Robert Morris throws these skip passes that look like they are destined for the front row of the seats, and somehow they pull them in, but it's just, when they let them go, it's hard telling where they're going to end up.
There's Green. They swing it over. Now it's Cheeks, the team's leading scorer. And touch foul there where Trey Robinson, again, you touch him with 2 hands, doesn't matter how softly you touch him, it's still a foul.
Yeah, 1-2. They'll give you 1, especially on the drive. You put that second hand on, you're going to get the whistle every time, and it'll push the shot clock back up to 20.
So Robert Morris with a 2-point lead and the ball. Cheeks on the left side. He's guarded by Mason this time. He drives past him in traffic. Wild shot. Spear comes away with it, but Robinson deflects it out of bounds.
You know, that was one of those shots where if you see a high school kid take that shot, by the time that ball hits the floor, his sub is already sitting at the table to take him out. But, you know, when you're a good player as good as he is, you can get away with that.
Here's Green. He lost control of that one. It goes out of bounds, and the referees are looking at each other, not knowing who it went off of, and now they will say, yes, that is Northern Kentucky's ball.
I think he just threw it out of bounds. I mean, obviously the replay might tell us differently, but we'll take a look.
It looks like it kind of somehow slipped out of his hands, but it just shot out of his hands like a cannon.
Like somebody had a super strong magnet about 6 rows back in the crowd, just pulled that basketball out of his hands straight out of bounds. That was wild.
He reaches in and knocks it away from Warwick, but Marquez gets it back. Mason will get it to Vincent. Vincent working on Corbin. 5 on the timer. What will Northern Kentucky be able to do with this stifling defense? Nice ball fake. It's short, and it's rebounded by Mayers, and it's going to be a foul on Vincent, who was trying to tie it up.
Vincent did a great job somehow getting that shot off. I was sure he was going to get one rejected, but one extra shot fake allowed him to get that off, but he left it short and then picked up the foul that you just don't want in that situation. 90 feet away from your basket, just let him grab the rebound and start working up the floor.
But he is so good at reaching in and stealing the ball with two hands,
You're right.
And that's what he was trying to do there. But unfortunately, he got too much of the arm. Here's Green. Kicking it out to Corbin. Green gets it back. Corbin for three. Got it. Nice ball movement there. A little two-man game between Green and Corbin. It works. And now Robert Morris.
The hot hand, but they need to get some more guys involved here as Northern Kentucky's down by 5.
Work will walk it up for Northern Kentucky. Guarded by Cheeks. So Robert Morris in a man-to-man right now. And it's thrown away by Faulkner. Green to Cheeks, and Brandon is going to commit the foul.
I think they just said he was out of bounds when he came down with that ball.
The one official raised his hand. Let's see. I was going by his mechanics only. And that looked like a clean block from here.
Yeah, I think that ended up being, I think when he landed with the ball, I think he was on the end line.
Good news for the Norse. Here is Spear. Somehow that was looked like a football reception there here on Championship Saturday in college football. And then there's a collision as Rhodes will be assessed the foul, and that's 6 on Northern Kentucky. So one more, and Robert Morris will be shooting one of the bonus for the remainder of the half.
As physical as it's been, it's hard to believe there have only been 9 fouls called through the first almost 16 minutes of the first half. It's been physical at both ends, but they've let them play to some degree. That one they had to call, obviously.
Cheeks with it on the left side. Spear in the painted area, no good. Brandon had it, but Mayers knocked it away from him, but Faulkner chases down the loose ball. Here comes Rhodes. This is what he can do, and he finds Prevorius. He runs out of real estate. Now Rhodes. Faulkner will operate. Brandon with it. Rhodes. How about that? Little hesitation step. He gets his man on skates and finishes.
Yeah, that was great recognition. He realized he got by Cheeks and nobody was coming over to help out, and he could get all the way to the basket. Nice job there. Again, just get it inside if you can and try to get this Robert Morris defense off balance a little bit.
It's a 3-point Robert Morris lead. In the corner for Corbin. No good. And Brandon gets it off the deflection from Rhodes, and now Xavier has it. Faulkner from way downtown, short, and Cheeks pulls down the rebound. It looks like Robert Morris wants to slow down the pace. And Cheeks will walk it up. Green will take over. Corbin trying to get open. Now he does. Spear. What is Spear going to do here? He's looking to hand it off to Corbin. Little two-man game. The step back for Spear, and I don't think he got that one off, but they play on, and Mayers gets the stick back.
They're not going to take a look at that one, at least not at the moment.
I thought that was more after the shot clock than the first one. I know that isn't proper grammar.
I knew what you meant there, though.
But yeah, I thought that was more egregious than the first one that they fixed. Here is Chris Brandon with it, and I thought he was throwing it to the first row, but Faulkner cuts across and grabs it. He knew what he was doing. He was throwing it to a spot. Rhodes has it taken away. Call the cops. That one's a robbery. As Cheeks still has it. Through contact, Mayers down low, and he's fouled by Brandon, and that will be 2 on Chris Brandon. And Mayers will go to the free throw line when we come back from the break. 2:25 left to go before the intermission. Robert Morris with a 5-point lead over Northern Kentucky here on the last in the game, but he checked in after the first horn, and that's why you can't wait till the very end to tell a kid to go in the game, because he might not be able to go in. He has to now wait for a dead ball to happen.
It's another one of those scorers.
And that's a coaching thing right there.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, I understand, coaches, there's a lot going on in that huddle. But you got to understand, you can't just decide. You got to already know who your 5 guys are going to be, right?
Yeah. They end up coming in for the shooter anyway, which was Matt Mayers, who knocked down a pair of free throws.
They might have changed their mind on who they subbed him in for, too.
You're already here, so you might as well wait and go in for the shooter.
Because he couldn't sub him. Well, then he couldn't sub him in. He was trying to get in the game. He was subbing for someone else initially. They told him he couldn't,
and then might as well just go for the shooter.
Just go for the shooter. He's got to be in the game. It's that important. As we get back to live action, there's always a workaround. As Warwick with a long 2, he was standing on the line, and Corbin gets the rebound.
They've done a nice job on Warwick so far. Robert Morris has just really making his shots as difficult as possible. And you can see how this Robert Morris team can just smother you on defense the way they play. It's been impressive so far.
Here's Green on the left side to Corbin. They get it into Last. He's working on I-Man. I-Man walls him up, ran out of room, and he somehow got it out of harm's way, and then that's an offensive foul called against Robert Morris. I believe they got Corbin trying to free himself up. No, indeed it was not. It was the screener for him. That'd be Michael Green III. Here's our ball protection graphic, and that kind of illustrates what you were talking about earlier.
Basically all the words I said in a very simple graphic form right there. But again, that's credit to Robert Morris. I mean, they picked some balls clean. It's just been really impressive.
There's Faulkner. He'll drive baseline after thinking about shooting. Now he's in the painted area, in traffic, and knocks down a tough shot.
It's just a toughness play right there, knowing you're going to have to work through the contact, knowing you're not going to get a call down there. You just got to be tougher than the guys guarding you, and he went up strong and got the bucket.
It's no secret that Trevon Faulkner has had a tough start to this bonus season as a foul. It's a travel. Didn't mean to anticipate. But if Northern Kentucky's going to go where they want to go, and that's to the NCAA tournament, Trevon Faulkner has to play better, and it's happened here in this first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, sometimes you make the switch and have somebody come off the bench. It's not necessarily a punishment thing. It's just giving a guy a different look at the game. You know, hey, kind of get the flow of the game, see how it's going. Now we're going to put you out there, because he hasn't come off the floor since he's come into the game, and he's been very good. So, again, sometimes coaches just got to mix it up, and Darren Horn decides, hey, we're going to bring him off the bench, and he's been very good so far. He leads all scorers with 10 points.
Here's Vincent with it now, as we're under 1 minute to play in the first half. Vincent still with it. Corbin has not gotten a count yet, so Vincent, now he'll work on him. He'll kick it over left side. Faulkner to Provorius from the hash mark, misses everything, and Spear will let it go out of bounds. And not a great possession there for Northern Kentucky.
No, I think they just waited a little bit too long to get it started, and then really didn't have anything to start when they got there, and ended up with Provorius having to throw one up at the end of the shot clock. And, you know, with about a 7-second difference between shot clock and game clock, Robert Morris can just about run this all the way down.
I think what they were trying to do was prevent Robert Morris from getting a 2-for-1 as opposed to worrying about what they were going to do best. Here is Cheeks with it. He'll get it back from Corbin. He drives. The floater short. Spear knocks it away, and it's off him, so it will go to Northern Kentucky with 12.7 left.
Chance here for Northern Kentucky to get the final shot of the half, and they get the ball to start the second half, so a chance here to cut into this lead.
So Robert Morris couldn't take advantage, and now Darren Horn uses his use or lose timeout with 10:03 following the Horizon League on social media and by using the hashtag HLSAAC.
What I would do here is get it to Trevon Faulkner and let him take this last shot.
100%. Because he's had the hot hand right now. And there was 2 guys standing in the same spot, and one of them was standing out of bounds, coming out of a timeout, and it's the guy who's not played a whole lot of basketball. Emmanuel Zorgval really didn't know what coach was drawing up in the huddle, obviously.
No, but the last place you want to be is where somebody else is standing.
So Robert Morris, will they take advantage? Cheeks, tough shot! It goes in, and I believe they're going to check it to make sure.
8 of them were steals, and if you're getting steals, that means you're probably getting fast break points the other direction. If they're throwing out of bounds, it's a charge, those don't end up going the other way. So the way that Robert Morris is making it happen has allowed them to take the 7-point lead at the break.
Northern Kentucky has the ball first here in the second half, and Rhodes will spin in the painted area, lay it up, no good, but Brandon gets the rebound. No good, tipped up again, no good, and it will go off of Martina out of bounds, and it looks like it does somehow stay with Northern Kentucky.
It certainly shocked Martina, I think. I think they thought that was going to be Robert Morris ball.
With the Robert Morris bench as well. So Northern Kentucky gets new life here with 20 on the timer. Warwick has it now. He's working on Enoch Cheeks. Still working on him. Over top of him and puts it in. Tough shot. A little mano-a-mano right there.
Well, if I'm doing a Rich Hoyt impersonation, I would say Marquez Warwick is going to get heated up in the second half. He's not going to go 1 for 6 here in half number 2. So I'm sure Robert Morris is ready for that as well, but off to a good start.
Oh, he's 1 for 1 so far in the second stanza. Down low to Martina, and he travels into a double team. So a quick turnover. And Matt Mayers comes in. He played very well in that first half. It looked like they wanted to go with Stephon Walker, but instead it was Mayers who played well, and they're going to keep him out there.
Martina traveled his way right back to the bench. With that combined with the possession they let go on the other end, I think has earned him a spot next to the coach on the bench.
Well, he got a quick hook in that first half. They brought in Walker, but Mayers, who came in later and scored 8 points and pulled down 4 boards, is the guy they go to now. Here's Wells with it for Northern Kentucky. Over to Brandon. Warwick gets it on the handoff. He crosses over, he drives, and Cheeks rejects it, but Woods tracks it down, and ahead of the buzzer, playing a little string music out of the corner.
Well, just at the end of the timer there, good recognition, knowing that the shot clock was going to expire, getting the offensive rebound is Rhodes, and he buries the triple.
It's now a 2-point Robert Morris advantage. Northern Kentucky on defense with Wells, and he distracts that shot by Spear and gets the rebound. Here's Warwick. Northern Kentucky with a chance to tie or take the lead. Vinson. He's looking for Brandon, and now a whistle away from the ball. And it will be actually the on-ball defender who they whistle. And that is going to be Jackson Last, committing his second foul.
Certainly not the start to the second half that Andy Toole and Robert Morris were looking for. Northern Kentucky starting to get things heated up on the offensive end.
Northern Kentucky scored the first 5 points of the half and looking for more. Here's Vincent, and that's rejected by Spear, but it will stay downtown with the Norse. So 2 consecutive block shots, one by Cheeks, this one by Spear. But Northern Kentucky's being aggressive. They just can't get to the rack right now.
Spear looked like he was just hanging in the air forever, just waiting for that ball to go up.
Vincent drives on the taller Last, and he will commit his 3rd foul.
Last is not at all happy with that call and had to walk away to avoid maybe earning himself a technical foul at the end of that, and he's going to have to head to the bench, and Michael Green III going to check back in.
Green comes in, much shorter is Green, listed at 5'11" in favor of the 6'5". Jackson Last. Here is Warwick in traffic, and it counts. Marquez Warwick with a hoop and the harm, and that ties the game at 30.
The hoop and the harm, and he let Cheeks know about it afterward, right in his face, letting him know, you're not going to be able to stop me on this play.
I think he might have said too little. They're both about the same size, though, but Warwick, I'm telling you, when he gets going, he is tough to stop. The junior out of Lexington, Kentucky, the all-time leading scorer in Fayette County high school basketball history. We saw the guy whose record he broke for Henry Clay when we went to Transylvania. The great Steve Miller was in attendance.
Not the Joker.
Not the Joker, but Steve Miller, who went to Henry Clay, was Mr. Basketball when I was in high school. As Wells gets the rebound on the missed shot. Here is Rhodes with it for Northern Kentucky. Brandon on the high post. Oh, and a give and go, and it pops out of the hands of Vincent into Spears' hands, and now Robert Morris. They have to settle for a half-court set because Northern Kentucky got back in plenty of time.
I wonder if Vincent just took his eye off that to look to see where Spears was, knowing that he's going to be lurking to try to protect that rim.
Well, it was like a fake handoff, give and go, and you're right, Vincent somehow did not come up with a pass. Here is Cheeks for three. Rattles it in. And just like that, Robert Morris finally breaks the seal here in the second half and takes a 2-point lead.
This could be a fun little battle in the second half between he and Warwick. They're definitely going back and forth right now.
Brandon in the high post. Gets it to Warwick. Warwick working on Cheeks. Brandon has it. Working on Mayers. Reversal, and it's rejected. And right now, Robert Morris has the rim protectors to stop that out of Northern Kentucky.
Like the idea. He tried to get it up on the glass first before the block to try to get the goaltending call, but Spear able to block it first.
Green over to Corbin out of the corner. Too strong, and it's Brandon with another rebound for Northern Kentucky. That's 8 on the night. Work out top for Northern Kentucky. He'll drive on Cheeks, and that'll be a foul called on the drive as Cheeks grabbed onto it with two hands and might have had a part of Marquez Work's arm, and he will go to the free throw line when we come back from our first media break of the second half. Robert Morris hangs on to the 2-point lead.
But he's starting to get warmed up now as he's getting ready to go to the line. Be the aggressor. That's Robert Morris's DNA right there. They're going to continue to be that way, and that's exactly why they have the lead in this game. And finish strong, well, that's still to be decided in the next 15:48. Who's going to finish strong and take home the dub tonight?
And try to do it within 40 minutes.
Amen.
That is not a jinx, as you don't believe in those.
Absolutely not. We had that conversation today somewhere else down the road.
All right, well, just making sure. I just want to make sure that you are sticking with your story.
100%.
As Warwick makes the free throw.
Like I said earlier today, I wasn't good enough to influence my own free throws. I'm sure not good enough to influence anybody else's.
Oh, my. Northern Kentucky is going to trap out of the made free throw, but Robert Morris gets it across, and Green will direct traffic. And get it to Cheeks. Cheeks drives right side. He challenges Brandon. It goes in, and he will get a chance for an and one.
Feels like he's starting to get fired up as well on both ends of the floor. And that's just a strong move and a really nice high screen that opened all that up. And then just a tough play straight at Brandon. I mean, Brandon's an intimidating dude. And Cheeks didn't back down from it. Gets in there, gets the bucket, chance for a three-point play.
Cheeks is from Providence, Rhode Island, and they make him tough up there. That is for sure, but he misses the free throw. And here comes Northern Kentucky with Xavier Rhodes. Robert Morris leads by 3. There's Faulkner with it, his first second half action. Warwick still with it. We get it to Rhodes, 10 on the timer. A kick out to Vincent. The spin move along the baseline, and with 4 seconds on the timer, Robert Morris bails out Northern Kentucky of a not very good possession right there. But it was all forced because of the pressure of Robert Morris.
Coach still not at all happy. They were down to 4 seconds left on the shot clock, and you commit that foul. Vincent would have had to force up a tough shot there. You just got to play defense and not foul there.
Josh Corbin was the guilty party, if you're keeping track at home, as Warwick has it rejected by Mayers. Another block at the rim by Robert Morris.
Yeah, rim protecting is what this team does. That's 4 blocks in the game for Robert Morris.
Here's Green from the elbow, and Vincent pulls down the rebound. Northern Kentucky looks to push. Here's Warwick, a step through, and that time he's blocked by the rim, but a foul called against Cheeks, and that is his 4th.
That's very big because Cheeks has been playing well. He's the leading scorer now for Robert Morris.
And how's he out there with 3 fouls, at this point in the game, especially with the aggressive way they play? They do foul a lot.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what it is they wear you down. And there is that mindset of they can't call everything, meaning the official.
100%. At some point, they get tired of trying to call everything, and that's a legitimate strategy that worked well for them.
Rick Pitino talked about that at every stop he's ever made. We're going to foul a lot because eventually the referees are going to stop calling it.
And I think Cheeks was trying to back off there, but must have just made contact and he was backpedaling because he knew he had help on the backside. Mayers was right there waiting to try to block that shot. And Cheeks committed the foul first, and now he's going to have to watch for a little while.
So with 14:45 left to go in this one, Cheeks will go to the bench, and we'll see how long he has to stay there as Warwick cashes in the free throw. And Northern Kentucky now trails by 1, 35-34. Here is Green with it. Guarded by Prevorius, who's in the game right now. Last came back in with his 3 fouls, and Vincent bodies him up, and he commits the foul.
Feels like the whistle's tightening up a little bit on both ends.
And that cannot benefit Robert Morris at this point.
Absolutely not. And, you know, we know what Cheeks has done on the offensive end, but he's really been the one to try to handle Marquez Warwick. So we're going to see who gets that assignment now with Cheeks on the bench.
Pocket pass into Mayers, and Warwick knocks it out of his hands, but he did it by smacking him across the arm. So the foul on Marquez Warwick, which is his second, the team's third. And Robert Morris already has 6 personal fouls. Northern Kentucky is going to start going to the line on the next foul committed by the Colonials. Here's Green with it on the left side. Spear sets a screen. It's slipped, but they go away from that action. Spear from the elbow. He'll drive. He'll collide with Brandon. No call, but it's a basket nonetheless for Khalil Spear.
Which is great recognition. He realized nobody came out after him. Hey, I'm just going to dribble it inside and get up with the contact, and just a strong finish. He's just so strong on those finishes.
It's a 3-point advantage for the Colonials. Here's Brandon over to Warren. The lob pass, can't make the dunk. That was in the neighborhood, but not quite in that sweet spot there. And Northern Kentucky comes away with an empty trip.
Trying to throw it over the rim protectors that time to get the dunk on the backside, and that may have kind of thrown off the lob timing there.
Here's Mayers with it now. That's off the back of the foot of Warwick, so it's not a kicked ball, and Vincent gets the 50-50 ball off the ground, and here comes Warwick on the other end for Northern Kentucky. He crosses over, he stops, he pulls back out to Faulkner, who drives, the jump stop, and he somehow gets it in. He looked like he was in big-time trouble there, Matt.
Robert Morris thought he'd travel, but I think he held on to that right foot just as he was able to stop, and then just slid his way on through and got the bucket.
Robert Morris still with a 1-point lead in the ball. Mayers over to Corbin. He drives into the lane. A floater. Got it. Who said he was just a 3-point shooter? As Josh Corbin out of Gahanna, Ohio, a transfer out of Winthrop. Played at Gahanna Lincoln in his prep days. And a thrown away by Northern Kentucky. Here's Green on the other end. Nice lead past the Spear. The collision, the basket, and the damage for Robert Morris.
Khalil Spear is really playing some big-time basketball right now. Just plays unafraid on both ends of the floor, but especially offensively. Hasn't had the scoring numbers tonight, but he's hit some big buckets and not afraid to basically take on the contact. Northern Kentucky's done a pretty good job on him tonight, but there's nothing you can do there. Brandon just doesn't have the position, and Spear not going to be denied and a chance for a 3-point play.
He had 2 points in the first half. He has a chance to get to 7 here. The senior out of the Colony, Texas. He has 3 double-doubles on the season. He had 9 last year and 13 in his Robert Morris career. Played at Bucknell for 2 seasons, did Spear. And he is short on the 3-point play opportunity. And Zorgval, who just checked in, gets the rebound. And now we get our first look at Jake Evans, a junior out of Louisville, Kentucky, playing for Northern Kentucky out there right now. Here's Warwick with it, guarded by Last. He steps back for the 3, missed it badly. Iman gets on the ground, and that'll be a jump ball, but it goes to Robert Morris on the alternate possession.
Could be a case of Darren Horn trying to buy a few minutes, knowing the next media timeout is just around the corner. Get a rest for a couple of guys here for maybe an extra 30 seconds to a minute before that media timeout, and then bring them back on the floor here. But Robert Morris going to have a chance to expand upon their 5-point lead after that jump ball.
Evans coming off of meniscus surgery. He was injured in the championship game in the Horizon League tournament. It was thought he would not be able to play in games till January. Came back early and just does what he does. He steals minutes for you. He puts himself in the right position, as that's a long 3-pointer no good by Wainwright, who had checked in. And he had 7 assists in that Tennessee Tech game with no turnovers. So he's a guy that's not going to hurt you out there. He's not going to score a whole lot of points. But he is out there to, like you said, steal a few minutes. Pavorius out to Evans. Short on the three-point shot, and he chases his own board. Northern Kentucky gets another opportunity. So Pavorius will rattle one in.
That's the guy you can't forget about. I know he had a rough shooting night the other night, but when he starts seeing them go in the basket, they can go in bunches, and that's a big shot there for Pavorius.
QB scored 16 in his only start this year. That was against Tennessee Tech. Here is Wainwright to Green. Shuck and jive, and he gets it to Spear, who lays it up and in. And right now, Khalil Spear, who was quiet in the first half, has started to awaken for the Colonials.
High man right there on defense, not afraid at all, just takes it right at him and gets it over top of him.
A foul called there against Robert Morris. It's going to be against Michael Green III, and that'll take us to our under 12 media break. Robert Morris hanging on to the 4-point lead.
Is Robert Morris is shooting 51% from the floor, Northern Kentucky 41%, so there aren't as many rebounds at the Robert Morris thing because they're picking the ball out of the basket.
And there's some sort of discrepancy with the fouls right now. That's trying to get worked out down here. It was announced in the building that Enoch Cheeks had 4 fouls.
Correct.
It says on the stat sheet 3. So they're trying to work that out with official scorer Rick Myers. But one thing that does look to be correct is that Chris Brandon committed his 4th foul. And right now he is on the bench along with his game-high 9 rebounds. As Trevon Faulkner at the foul line will make the 2 free throws, cut the deficit in half, but Robert Morris still leads by 2.
Well, it's the difficulty. Sometimes you got a scorebook and you got live stats and all that. They're trying to make sure those things all stay on the same page. But in the end, scorebook's official, so whatever they've got is going to be what goes.
And that's why we got a Hall of Famer down there in Rick Myers, who's done the book for 50 years here at Northern Kentucky.
I'd love to know how many games he has actually kept the book for, because I can't even imagine what that number is.
It's incredible, for sure. I mean, he has been a part of this university and the basketball program every year but the first one when he was still a senior in high school at St. Thomas, where he was taught by Ken Shields and was a classmate of Nancy Winston. How about that?
That's crazy there.
How about that for insight? As there's a foul called over there on the other sideline. There's the Hall of Famer, Rick Myers. Right bookend between a couple of veterans there. John Rask, who does our clock on the left. Jay Winslow, who does the public address on the right as you look at it. Rick Myers, an institution around here.
I mean, to be able to, 2 not only Hall of Famers in your former future basketball coaches here at Northern Kentucky, but if you had a Mount Rushmore, those 2 are going to be on it. And, it takes people like Rick Myers and all the other people here that work and support to make these games go. People think, that this stuff just happens, but there are a lot of people that put in a lot of hours behind the scenes, don't get the credit, so it's great when we get a chance to shout them out on the air because they're really what make these universities run and allow these games to happen.
And Rick was also a distant relative of the late, great Moat Hills, who started not only the basketball program here, but the entire athletic department here at Northern Kentucky University. So, yeah, I mean, it's like being under the learning tree when you're around those folks, especially when we start talking about old times. Down low, here is Green as we get back to live action here. Spear. Jump stop, but he's fouled ahead of time. Sam Vincent is the guilty party for Northern Kentucky, and if the board is right, that is 3 on him. So Marquez Warwick will check in, and Hubie Pavorius will go out. Green will trigger for Robert Morris. He'll get it into Spear. Spear working on Vincent. He'll have to kick it out to Chris Ford, and a foul called.
Out of bounds again.
He stood out of bounds. Why in the world is that happening today? But it's been an epidemic today, and Ford, not to be mistaken with the former Boston Celtic great player of my generation, will get a quick exit after that mistake.
4 times in this game already. That's kind of wild.
So we're tied up at 43. Northern Kentucky with the ball, trying to retake the lead. We've had 3 ties and 8 lead changes. Vincent rattles it in, and Northern Kentucky has the 2-point advantage just under the 10-minute mark.
Well, that's a good way to work against the rim protectors. Throw it up high with a little bit of touch, get that soft shooter's roll. And Vincent getting a big shot, and Northern Kentucky retaking the lead.
There's Corbin, who picked up his dribble, finds Spear. High elbow shot, and it somehow goes in. That was all over the iron, some of the glass, and still fell through.
A little soft touch on the other end as well, getting a friendly roll.
Faulkner, no good. He'll kick it out after his own rebound. Vincent, too strong. Faulkner had it, but Spear knocked it away from him. And here comes Bobby Moe, as some people call it. Robert Morris, the Colonials, trying to go 2-0 in the opening weekend of the season. And how about that? Michael Green says, calm down, people. I got this, as he knocks down the shot.
Just a 31% three-point shooter, but sure didn't look like it there. All the confidence in the world to step back and knock that one down.
Green, a transfer. He went to Bryant back when Robert Morris and Bryant were still in the Northeast Conference, as there's a foul called there against Robert Morris. And I believe they got T.J. Wainwright, who had just checked into the game, and they did. That's his second. Trey Robinson, the opposite number 1 for Northern Kentucky, will check in. Faulkner will go out as Sam Vincent will go to the line and shoot 1 and the bonus. It'll be the last 1 in the bonus for Northern Kentucky, as that was the 9th team foul against Robert Morris. And he misses the front end, and Mayers gets the board. So Green will walk it up. Robert Morris with the 3-point lead. Northern Kentucky led briefly. Here's Wainwright, guarded by Vincent. He's trying to get it into Spear. Now he does. Guarded by I-Man. Spear goes baseline, and the help defender, Robinson, reaches in and fouls Khalil Spear. Well, Trey Robinson hadn't been out there for very many defensive rotations, but he's committed a foul on almost all of them, it seems like.
And he had the right idea there. Ivan was on the defense, and everything was moving back toward the middle of the floor, and Robinson was just going to try to be sneaky and get in there and pick that ball away without committing the foul, but just got a little bit too much arm as well, and that's going to send Spear to the free throw line, where not a great free throw shooter. It's one of the things he doesn't really do well, about 50%.
I thought Robinson had 3. I beg your pardon. He actually only had 2. So he misses that one, does Spear, and Chris Brandon, with 4 fouls, checks back in. And Zorgval will go out. Zorgval really looked like he belonged against Youngstown State, and that's a guy they're going to need to be a capable backup if Brandon gets into foul trouble.
I do want to point out the live stats has updated to say Cheeks has 4 fouls, so we can confirm that that was correct.
And Spear makes the free throw. Good job following up on that, Matt, as it's now a 4-point Robert Morris lead. Xavier Rhodes directing traffic for Northern Kentucky. He'll get it to Robinson. Over to Vincent now. He'll work on Wainwright. The kick out to Rhodes. He'll rise and fire and knock it down. And Northern Kentucky cuts it to 1. And I would think on the scouting report, if Xavier Rhodes is going to shoot threes, you'd probably tip your hat to him if he makes them, and that's what he did there. And Robinson knocks it away. It will go to Northern Kentucky as we go to the under 8 media break. Northern Kentucky trade an impact, especially in the second half.
Yeah, both these guys had a tough first half, and a lot of that to do with physical defense on both ends, but both of them starting to get heated up now, 11 points and 10 points respectively, and I have a feeling those two are going to be a big part in who ends up winning this game over the final 7.5 minutes.
And a stat that was not on that graphic is Spears has 5 steals on the game. That is a new career high for him. He had 4 of them in the first half while he was struggling to score. Here is Rhodes. His man falls down after the move. Little broken ankle action there as Rhodes finishes.
Well, the shot fake was key, too, because Mayers was just waiting to swat that one into next week, but that shot fake forced him to stay on the ground, allowed him to get the floater up and give NKU the lead.
Here's Robert Morris now. Green with the ball. Spear Reach in, and Warwick commits the foul. No, it's, Faulkner. I knew it was Faulkner all along, and I said Marquez's name. I'm sorry, Miss Teresa. I know she's out there. Marquez Warwick's mom is a big fan of the program, and I'm glad of that, but I was not disparaging your baby boy there. It was just a slip of the tongue there.
Love to see her on Twitter as well.
Oh, my goodness.
Great to see.
She made it her business to say hello to us after the Youngstown State game as she was walking over to greet Adrian Nelson afterwards.
That's really cool.
Knew her names and everything. I was like, oh, wow. I know who that lady is.
Usually somebody knows my name. It's not a good thing, so that's 100%. Awesome for you, too.
100%. Here is Rhodes. But I just definitely wanted to give her a shout-out as well, and I figured out a way to do it by mistakenly giving her son a foul. It's a weird way how that thing works. But anyway, let's get back to live action here as Rhodes has it. Left side to the aforementioned Marquez Work. Crossover. Still got it. He's guarded by Corbin. Tough shot, no good, and Spear pulls down the board.
He's hit a couple of those already from that same general area. That one just a little bit too strong. Couldn't get it to go.
Spear gets it to Corbin. Up against Brandon, and those 4 fouls. Brandon couldn't be aggressive like he probably wanted to. Spear went after him anyway. No good. And here comes Northern Kentucky. The swing to Warwick. Nice closeout there by T.J. Wainwright. And a timeout called by the official. And I think, is something spilled on the ground over there by where the high rent district is?
Somebody might have lost a little bit of that beverage they were enjoying over there.
They want a wet spot wiped up the floor, so that was an official's timeout. And that's one of the things there by going over there and having to sit over there is you got to be careful with your drink. Every once in a while you get knocked out of your hand. And look at Cole Murray helping out there. I bet you he feels like he might have been the guilty party. Former Northern Kentucky great.
Talk about a dude that can shoot it. Like, yes, he was a dude that you let it go from 3-point, you just about write it down.
That's right. Out of Delphi, Indiana. He was the lone senior on that first team that John Brannon was able to engineer a great run out of. He's just like me. That's the one thing he and I have in common. He came here as a D2 guy, late D2, early D1. I was here as a D2 and got held over. I think he did come in the first year of the D1 era in the Atlantic Sun. Have to look up the annals before I start misspeaking about him as well. But how about Vincent getting that one knocked down?
Vincent, that's just a great shot right there. Just gets it up above the shot blockers and right in the middle of the lane, able to knock it down. The lead pushed up to 3, and now an offensive foul on Robert Morris, and that may be the end for Mr. Last, Jackson Last, who already had 4.
A moving screen by Last, and his night will come to an early end after how many points did he end up scoring? How about that? Oh, Ray Charles comes up there. I'm distracted by that. That's a good addition to the in-game experience. I've always been a big believer that when a guy fouls out and heads to the Dairy Queen because he's disqualified, you got to play a little Ray Charles for him. But he fouls out with 5 points. Oh, my! Bad intentions there, and Brandon cannot get it to fall.
Wow, that was a meeting at the rim, and Mayer's going to get called for the foul, and Brandon tried to throw that one through the rim, and Mayers and the floor and everything else, and just got it off the back of the rim, I think because of the foul. Let's take another look at that.
So here's the drive by Rhodes, the lob, and ooh, yeah, that was nasty, but it was Mayers who actually made that happen. Again, protecting that rim, and Brandon cannot cash in on the free throw.
It kind of looks like a good foul at this point.
Northern Kentucky leading by 3, and Chris Brandon will make the second to make it a 2-possession game. With 5:27 left to go, that's 5 points for the senior out of Houston, Texas. Cheeks is back in the game. He sat for nearly 10 minutes of clock time, and Chris Brandon will get his 5th foul and get every cent of his money's worth there as he clobbered Khalil Spear.
He sure did. That looked like a volleyball spiker going to jump up. I don't know what it's called. I'm not a volleyball play-by-play guy. But he looked like he was going to go up and send that in the next week.
What you would think it is, a free throw opportunity for Spear, and then a play on. So Khalil Spear with 11 points. All but 2 of them have happened here in the second half, and he gets to number 12 here. On the season, he's averaging 14.5 per contest. His 8 rebounds per game is good enough for 3rd in the conference, behind Chris Brandon and Adrian Nelson. And he makes them both, does Spear. He had not had many opportunities before today, 5 of 7 on the season.
And the real question is going to be on this end, without Chris Brandon on defense against Spear. That's going to be a real challenge for Northern Kentucky.
They'll start with Emmanuel Zorgball in the game, and we'll see if they have to go small. But it's Zorgball with the tip in, and how about the I-man getting it done, cleaning up that loose change.
Big 7-footer just going up, tapping it up in the air, nice and soft, and dropping it in the bucket.
That is why he is there. Spear sends one man flying, and then Cheeks went flying for Robert Morris, and who's going to be the guilty party after that? I believe it's Trevon Faulkner.
And they're going to pick up his second. Is really just wrong place at the wrong time. He tripped up Cheeks, but he wasn't really even trying to do that. Cheeks just came flying in at 100 miles an hour, and Darren Horton not at all happy about that. But
so Cheeks will go to the line. He has been perfect in minimal opportunities, 8 for 8 on the season before today. He will shoot 1 in the bonus. It was a non-shooting foul, and he makes the first in order to earn the second. That was Northern Kentucky's 9th team foul, so now from here on out, it's the double bonus, excluding any player control fouls. Cheeks misses the back end of the 1-and-1, and Vincent gets the rebound, with Northern Kentucky leading by 3, and Xavier Rhodes will walk it up. He's guarded by Green. Here's Vincent with it. The Faulkner. And off to Warwick. He gets a screen from I-Man. That was almost a foul on Zorgball. Here is Faulkner for 3, no good. And that's off of Zorgball, out of bounds. And I-Man's lucky he didn't get caught for an offensive foul there, because he hooked his guy and held him.
Yeah, they 100% missed that. Obviously, didn't miss it on the Robert Morris bench because everybody started yelling for that. But sometimes you get a little lucky there, and everybody's eyes are somewhere else, and he got away with one there.
So Robert Morris will try to cash in here as Green will hand it off to Corbin. He'll get it into Spear at the free throw line. He'll drive, he'll spin, and it was partially blocked by Zorgball, and it is Faulkner with a rebound. Here come the Norse trying to make it a 2-possession game. Rhodes working on Green. Essentially a post-up off the banking board and in.
He clearly liked that matchup. He had a couple of good shooters on the outside, but decided he was going to go ahead and push that all the way in on Green. Able to get the tough shot to go and push the Northern Kentucky lead up to 5.
Andy Toole can't wait for the under 4 media timeout. He'll burn one here, and we will take the break as well, as this will be our floater. We'll be back with Northern Kentucky taking the advantage.
Being the best takes hard work. It takes early mornings, planning, precision, sweat, sacrifice, and teamwork. That's why Old Dominion Freight Line, the #1 national LTL carrier for quality, works hard to be the best in the game and is proud to support those striving to be the best in their game. Old Dominion Freight Line, helping the world keep promises.
At Walmart, save on thousands of gifts for everyone on your list. The savings are here all month long. Plus, get delivery on your gifts in as fast as 1 hour, right up to Christmas Eve. Shop Walmart online or in-store today.
Guard Super Ducks. Guard Force. So light and flexible, you can fly from one job to the next.
There are all kinds of products in this world. Things that make life easier or more fun. But New York Life's product is different. It's 12,000 experts whose responsibility is to be there, to guide you through the happiest and most difficult times. People who know the most valuable things in life aren't things at all. This is our product. This is what we do.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. With America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry in to get our best deals of the season. Get in and get away.
Now, get 0% APR on 7 of our most popular models, or sign and drive one home today. Hurry in.
Welcome back to the Truist Arena, and there you are looking at our grown family McDonald's. Easy for me to say, player of the game. It's Trevon Faulkner, and good to see Trevon kind of get off the schneid a little bit.
Yeah, he's had a really strong game, and I really felt like in that first half when Northern Kentucky was struggling to get a rhythm on offense, he knocked down some big shots in that first half. 14 points, 5 rebounds, played very good defense on this end of the floor. Shots in that first half. 14 points, 5 rebounds, played very good defense on this end of the floor. Just a huge effort from him tonight coming off the bench. And now a turnover by Robert Morris coming out of the timeout, which will send us right back to a timeout.
This will be the official under 4 media break. Fans, don't go anywhere. This is going to be a good one to the finish. In his normal spot, joined by the coach, Rich Hoyt. I'm sure, Matt, you're looking forward to that exciting game and possibly the end of a long streak.
It's been quite a few games this week, and it's maybe a must-win for Northern Kentucky after falling to Youngstown State last night. Robert Morris had a big win at Wright State yesterday, so going to be a good one. Hope you'll join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock on ESPN+.
Here is Vincent with it now as Northern Kentucky leads by 5. The next time Northern Kentucky will be here at home will be on the 14th against Eastern Kentucky. Of course, they play out at Washington State. In the meantime, December 7th. How about Rhodes? He misses badly, and it's rebounded by Chris Ford. Kind of a forced shot there for Northern Kentucky coming out of a timeout.
That was a good defensive stand there for Robert Morris, but Northern Kentucky was able to use 30 seconds off the clock, which at this point is big.
The lob pass intended for Spear, and that's where I-Man comes in, not only as a rim protector, but he just gets those long arms in the way, and it looks like Spear might have took a shot to the chops.
Yeah, and obviously Spear plays such a physical game. He takes a beating. He gives a beating, too, because he's so physical. But, you know, it's a tough way to play. And you know, I think that was maybe a little bit too much showtime. They're going to say it's Robert Morris. Oh, we got it wrong. He pointed the wrong direction. I was going to say, like, that would have been really something there. But, you know, the way Spear has played, you're going to end up having to kind of play through some physical ailments, and I think that was a little bit too high risk to play for Robert Morris there, especially this late in the game. You're down by 5.
So the Colonials will pick up full court as Northern Kentucky gets it in, and now it turns out to be token pressure as Vincent is now met on the other side of the timeline by Cheeks. Rhodes for Northern Kentucky with it now, guarded by Green. Vincent gets a screen from Zorgball. Faulkner. 4 on the timer. He's going to have to heave one. No good. And that is Cheeks who ends up with a long board. He still has it for Robert Morris. And that was deflected by Rhodes into the hands of Green. He gets to the Horizon League logo. No good. And it's I-Man Zorgball with another rebound. Rhodes with a floater. The one-hand jam is no good, but he gets his board, loses it, and it will go to Robert Morris. I think it was on a foul by Zorgball, but we'll sort it out, and that is the case.
That one hurts. I mean, obviously it would have been great for him to finish it off showtime, but when you get the miss and then Robert Morris gets the ball and then you have a foul that far away, which was Jason, just like a bear hug on the guy who able to get in there and strip it away. That was Chris Ford who got in there, and then you foul him.
And it looked like he had to go with one hand because he found himself a step too far under the basket.
Correct.
Which is, you know, he wasn't trying to go showtime, but it would have been that way.
It sure would have been, but now Ford gets a couple free throws.
Again, I-Man's not played basketball very long. I think this is only his 4th year of playing. He didn't play last year other than in practice.
And I will say he has played well tonight, especially defensively, because with Chris Brandon fouling out, you knew Spear was going to try to take this game over, and I-Man has done a great job defensively. So
he played well the other night against Youngstown State, and there was a part of the year where it was like, wow, are they going to have to go small when Brandon's on the bench? And right now, in this last, couple of games, I-Man starting to have the light switch figured out. Here is Vincent over to Rhodes. We're under the 2-minute mark. Vincent, Northern Kentucky being deliberate now. 7 on the timer. Zorgfall with the screen and the roll. The floater is no good by Vincent. Spear had it, and it goes out to Green. He'll push. Corbin gets set for 3. Got it. It's a long 2-pointer, they say, over here on this side. So it's still a Northern Kentucky lead by 1. And now Rhodes will call timeout with 1:16 left. Robert Morris didn't tie the score.
But forcing up tough shots at the end of the timer. The arrow points to Northern Kentucky, so if there's a jump ball, the Norse will keep it, and double bonus both ways. That's kind of where we stand here as we're down to the final 70 seconds of regulation.
Warwick has it, and that's a guy I would think you'd want it in his hands, but Faulkner has been the hot hand today. Warwick will drive a little off balance, and he'll draw a foul. He'll go to the line for the double bonus, and it is Josh Corbin who will commit the foul for Robert Morris.
You prefer not to have that foul because you know Spear is basically waiting for that shot to go up, and of course he did block it, but the foul was already committed in front of there, and that will send Warwick to the free throw line with 1:04 to go.
So that's the second foul on Corbin. He is far from in foul trouble, and Marquez Warwick with 11 points here today, make it 12. Excuse me, that's his 11th point.
So fast putting it up there sometimes that
you aren't ever lying about that. As Warwick will try to cash in 2 with the clock stopped. And he misses. Robinson goes over the back of Spear.
They're going to look at this because Robinson
goes out of bounds. And now they're going to figure out who it went out on.
Yeah, Robinson's saying that it hit whatever the call the floor was going to stay with it. So Robert Morris only down by 2 with 62 seconds left.
So Northern Kentucky will not show pressure here as Cheeks will let it roll pretty much to the timeline before he picks it up. Here comes Robinson. Cheeks has Robinson riding, no good. It's rebounded by Vincent. And Northern Kentucky leads by 2, and Andy Toole implores his team to get a stop here. Still plenty of time for both teams. Here's Rhodes with it. He'll get it to Warwick. Warwick will size up Cheeks, and he'll wait. Still has it, does Warwick. He'll kick it down low to Robinson. Back out to Rhodes. 4-3 at the end of the timer. No good. And Cheeks almost lost it. And somehow he got it to Corbin. Here come the Colonials. 15 seconds left. And Andy Toole says, please give me a timeout. My team is all discombobulated.
That was wild.
Emmanuel Zorgfall. Of course, Chris Brennan is fouled out.
I will say sometimes I think I know who's going to touch the ball at the end of the game. And sometimes I'm wrong about that.
Well, that wouldn't be the first time. Here is Spear with it now. 10 seconds to go. A collision between Robinson and Cheeks. They play on, and it's intercepted by Vincent, and he's fouled. And Robert Morris didn't technically get a shot off, did they?
No, they didn't, and that's going to be a technical foul on Andy Toole.
Ooh, my.
He said that was a expletive foul right here on the wing, and
that's automatic.
It's automatic. The first time he let it go, the referee said, settle down, and then he said it again, and that earns you the magic word. We'll get you that T. But
and
obviously
that
not
should
happy.
Pretty much do it if it didn't already, and that's an egregious mistake by the head coach because I feel like his team still has a chance.
Absolutely. I mean, if
there's no guarantee NKU makes these free throws and they don't have 3.6. We've seen crazy enough stuff here in this last run of double overtime. Now you're going to give Warwick 2 free throws. You're going to give the man who was fouled, who I believe was Vincent, 2 free throws and the ball, and you pretty much just surrendered a chance to go 2-0 over a frustration. But I know I've made plenty of mistakes letting my temper get in my way.
Absolutely.
So I can't be the one to judge.
I'll tell you what, though, Robert Morris has put the Horizon League on notice this weekend with the way they play and their toughness because this is a team that absolutely is going to do some damage in the Horizon League this season.
Well, this isn't, they've struggled so far going from the Northeast Conference to the Horizon League. They struggled in the pre-conference schedule. But, man, these last 2 games, Yikes. They're going to be a tough out. They were voted, 8th out of 11 teams?
They took that personally, clearly.
Tell you what, that's going to be a tough out. That's a team that might ruin a few people's seasons this year. So Vincent's turn to put up free throws. He misses, and that will pretty much get it done here tonight as Spear was trying to slice the deficit, but Northern Kentucky